Can you see my screen, children? Rumisha?
No, ma'am. No, ma'am.
Rumisha, could
No, ma'am.
you screen ka? Again, my
No,
eyesight
ma'am.
is slow only. Rumisha, your voice is less. Now it's okay. Can you
No,
see my
ma'am.
screen? No.
Ma'am, now it's written that you are presenting.
Acha, so this that means. Is the screen visible now?
No, ma'am.
Neha, screen is visible?
No, ma'am.
Still not
No,
visible.
ma'am.
Going very slow. Okay, so now tell me, what are carbohydrates? What are carbohydrates?
They are the hydrates of carbon
Okay, why we are saying hydrates of carbon here?
because they has carbon, hydrogen, and oxygen.
And why hydrates of carbon? I give the reason why you're calling the hydrates of carbon. Hydrate means what?
Water,
Water. So what is the relation with water? Can anyone give the answer? Why you are calling carbohydrates as the hydrates of carbon?
Because they are coming from water. They are originating from
No,
water.
nothing like no.
because the
They are
ratio of
not coming
hydrogen
from water. Uh,
and because the ratio of hydrogen and
yes, yes.
oxygen is same as that of water.
Uh, because in all these compounds, that is in all the carbohydrates, we find the ratio of hydrogen and oxygen is same as that of the water molecule. That is 2 is to 1. Okay, so you are calling them the hydrates of carbon. Okay, now tell me how the carbohydrates are classified. How are carbohydrates classified?
Monosaccharide, disaccharides, and polysaccharides.
Very good. Okay, this classification is done on what basis?
Number of monomers.
Number of monomers. Okay, so now monosaccharide, what is the what is the general formula of monosaccharides?
CnH2O whole n, where n is the number of atoms.
See, number of atoms. Okay, so now today what we will be doing, by the time it is starting, we will try to derive different status. So monosaccharides, you are knowing that how many carbon atoms they will have. Anyway, the number of carbon atoms varies from
3 to 7.
3 to 7. So we will try to find out the formula of the monosaccharides having 3 carbon atoms to 7 carbon atoms. Okay, and what is the monosaccharide known as, which is having 3 carbon atoms? हाँ जल्दी से बोलो.
Ma'am, can you repeat the question?
My question is, what is that monosaccharide called which is having the 3 carbon atoms?
Trioses.
Trioses. Okay. Everyone has noted that what are this or not? Yes or no?
Yes, ma'am.
So the monosaccharides are classified on basis of carbon atoms. Okay, which varies 3 carbon atoms to 7 carbon atoms. So the triose. Okay,
Ma'am, your voice is
now
not clear.
like that only today. It is cutting it yesterday only.
Yes, ma'am. Today also it's same.
So today also the same. No problem, that is in the network. Okay, can you hear me now?
Yes, ma'am.
Yes, ma'am.
It's better or not?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay,
Yes,
so
ma'am.
trioses. Now tell me the formula, the general formula. First you write down every and do it in the notebook. Okay, CnH2ON. That is the general formula. So we will try to find out what will be the formula for the trioses, then tetroses, pentoses. So start doing it, everyone. Cn and H2O, and this is the general formula. Okay, now if you place the 3 carbon atoms, that is number 3, for the number of carbon atoms, so what will be the general formula? So who will tell me quickly? Trioses will have what formula? Ritu will tell me quickly. C3. Ritu, did you note down last period?
Ma'am, actually last period my network was not that good, so I couldn't
Acha, you couldn't attend
understand
the
that
whole
one.
thing. Okay, okay. So anyone else? Raj, what will be the number of the hydrogen atoms here? अपन इसी
Four.
4 कैसे होगा? देखो कैलकुलेशन कैसे करते हैं, अपन H2O ब्रैकेट में रखे हैं एंड आउटसाइड इट इज N. तो हाइड्रोजन दैट इज H2 विल आल्सो बी हाउ मेनी टाइम्स, क्योंकि 3 है, N के जगह पर अपन को 3 रखना है, तो 2 into 3 will become how much? Say Sunraj. 3 into 2 will become how much?
6.
6. तो अपन के हाइड्रोजन 6 हो जाएंगे और ऑक्सीजन कितना रहेगा? ऑक्सीजन वहां 1 है, N जितने होंगे उतने ही होंगे, so it is 3. So the formula becomes what? The trioses formula will be what? H3H6O3. Okay, now we'll take up the tetroses. ये सब लिखो. Okay, try to write down, and this 3 will be and 6 will be yours. What? Superscript or subscript? राज जल्दी से बोलो.
Can you repeat?
I am saying अपन H2O में 2 को कहाँ लिखते हैं? सुपरस्क्रिप्ट लिखते हैं कि सबस्क्रिप्ट लिखते हैं? Raj. Neha, what we write? Tell me quickly.
Subscript.
हाँ, सबस्क्रिप्ट लिखते हैं तो अपन का ये भी फॉर्मूला कैसे आ जाएगा? C3H6O3. Okay, and then tetrosis. Now, what will be the formula for the tetrosis? So, tetrosis means how many carbon atoms?
4.
4 carbon
4
atoms.
carbon atoms. ठीक है, फिर हाइड्रोजन कितने हो जाएंगे? Hydrogen will be how many?
8.
8.
8.
ठीक है, और फिर ऑक्सीजन कितने हो जाएंगे?
4.
4. ओके, सो बस एक फॉर्मूला याद रखो ग्लूकोज का, तो आप सारे बता सकते हो कि C6H12O6 जस्ट डबल होता है हाइड्रोजन. Is it clear? So same you will keep doubling the hydrogen atoms here also. If C4, तो hydrogen will be 8. If C3, तो hydrogen will be 6. Now take up the next one. Tetrosis के बाद क्या आएगा? Pentosis. So what will be the formula for the pentosis? How many carbon atoms?
5.
C5,
Carbon atoms.
H10, 4, 5.
H10, 4, 5. कितने लोगों को ये बात समझ में आ गई? Devanshi understood?
Yes, ma'am.
So we are discussing that what are the different types of monosaccharides classified on the basis of the number of carbon atoms. Classified on the basis of
Number of carbon atoms.
number of carbon atoms. If the monosaccharide is having 3 carbon atoms, so you call that group as the trioses. Okay, here we are not considering the functional group. I have discussed in the previous period that the functional group also varies in the sugars. Some sugars have the aldehyde group and some sugars have the ketone group. What did I say? Repeat, Devanshi.
Some sugars have aldehyde group and some have ketone group.
Now, what is the aldehyde group? Do you know the aldehyde group?
Aldose group, and ketone is known as ketonic group.
हाँ, ketonic group. तो aldehyde का functional group मालूम है क्या है? What is the functional group of aldehyde?
No, ma'am.
Anyone? If you have studied in 10th class, aldehyde, you know what is it? It has the functional group will be CHO. What is the functional group? We have to write down capital, children. Okay, CHO. What is the functional group of the aldehyde? What is the functional group of aldehyde? CHO. And what is the functional group of the ketone? I don't know you all have studied this or not.
Ma'am, O.
Anyone else? Think further. It is CO. What is it? This is the ketone group. Okay, so sugars में जो भी अपन sugars देख रहे हैं तो fructose is a ketose sugar, glucose is aldose sugar. Okay, number of the carbon atoms are same. The glucose also has the C6 and the fructose also has the C6, that is carbon 6, but the functional group is varying. One has got, that is glucose is having the aldehyde group attached and the fructose is having the ketone group attached. तो ketone group होता है तो उन sugars को अपन ketoses बोल देते हैं. Is it clear? Are you understanding what I am saying, everyone?
Yes, ma'am.
Isha, you are getting the voice now?
Yes, ma'am.
So I was telling previously what we have discussed, that what is the classification of the monosaccharide based on the number of carbon atoms. So when you see the classification on the basis of number of carbon atoms, we call it trioses, tetroses, pentoses, hexoses, and heptoses. Could we take up that also? Pentoses के बाद क्या आएगा? पेंटोजेस के बाद क्या लेना है?
Hexoses.
Means you all have not noted yesterday or what? I was showing the whole slide. You have to note down, children. फिर बाद में book में भी read करना है. Okay, these things you will get it in the book and you may not get it in properly organized way. So when I'm showing you the slides, try to note it down. That will only make up your notes. Okay, so hexoses means how many carbon atoms this will have?
6.
Carbon atoms.
Carbon. So what will be the formula? Tell me quickly.
C6H12O6.
हाँ, C6H12O6. Understood? तो ये अपना उसका नाम क्या है इस वाले का?
Glucose.
Glucose. Now we'll take up the hexoses के बाद क्या आएगा? 7 carbon वाला, what is it known as?
Heptoses.
Heptoses. Okay, so heptoses you find 7 carbon. So what will be the formula? C
C7H14O7.
7, correct. H 14 and O will also be 7. Is it, are you all writing in the notebook everyone or not?
Yes, ma'am.
Yes, ma'am.
Everyone has to note down. करोगे नहीं, लिखोगे नहीं तो फिर कुछ नहीं practice में आता. When you write down, it becomes clear. And I hope you are writing the subscript, all these numbers what I am putting. Ritu?
Yes, ma'am.
Yes, ma'am.
Okay. So we have done the 7 different, that is trioses, tetroses, pentoses, hexoses, and the heptoses. 5 different types of the monosaccharides. So we discussed in the beginning the monosaccharides are having the carbon atoms which the number varies from 3 to 7. Okay. Now we are classifying the monosaccharides on the basis of the functional group. On the basis of functional group, what are the 2 groups? If the aldehyde group is there, so what you call those sugars?
Aldose sugar.
So you can write down they are known as aldoses. Okay, and if the ketone group is attached, so what you call them? Those sugars?
Ketoses.
Ketoses. Okay, that will be called as ketoses. Is it very clear, everyone, this much? Yes or no?
Yes, ma'am.
Yes, ma'am.
Yes, ma'am.
Okay. Now we will be discussing the structure of the aldoses and the ketoses. Okay, so I'll show you. This is not working only. Data Classic is not opening. So we'll see the disaccharides. Okay, so you can put the subheading disaccharides and then only you will understand that what are disaccharides. Now, can you see my screen, children?
Yes, ma'am.
Yes, ma'am.
You can see the disaccharide, which is this pen one.
Yes, ma'am.
So everyone try to make this structure. Okay, this is one hexose sugar and this is one pentose sugar. Both have joined together and this bond is known as the triglyceride bond. Are you all getting, children, this one? Okay, इस फिगर को बनाते जाओ. Okay, disaccharides. What are disaccharides? See here now. This And last one, could you see? Okay, this
Yes,
is the
ma'am.
glycose. So this is one glucose, and to it attached is, so both are the monosaccharides. One is glucose and another one is the fructose. Okay, glucose is having the aldehyde group, that is CHO. Okay, and aldehyde group is attached to the second carbon atom. Aldehyde will be attached to the
Second atom.
second carbon atom. So you make this structure the hexose, that is the six-membered ring. Make the six-membered ring. Now try to understand the bond is formed between which two carbon atoms. So the bond is formed between the first and the fourth carbon atoms, and by the release of one water molecule. So disaccharides are the form of carbohydrates which are having, or which are made up of two monosaccharides, two same or different monosaccharides. So did you understand what are disaccharides? Devanshi, repeat karoge, what are disaccharides?
They are formed by joining two monosaccharides.
Which may be the similar ones or the different ones. Here we find they are different. एक ग्लूकोज है, एक फ्रक्टोज है. ग्लूकोज एल्डोज शुगर है, फ्रक्टोज इज अ कीटोज शुगर. फ्रक्टोज इज अ
Keto sugar.
कीटोज शुगर. ओके, ग्लूकोज में एल्डिहाइड ग्रुप होता है, फ्रक्टोज में कीटोन ग्रुप होता है. And how they are formed? So disaccharides are formed by the formation of a bond between first carbon of one monosaccharide and fourth carbon of the second monosaccharide. Did you note down?
Yes, ma'am.
So the bonding is between which two carbon atoms?
First carbon atom of glucose and fourth carbon atom of fructose.
हाँ, तो ये तो अपन इस फिगर में देख रहे हैं. अगर जनरलाइज करोगे तो क्या बोल दोगे देवांशी?
First carbon atom of one monosaccharide and fourth carbon atom of another monosaccharide.
Very good. Okay. So we call that bond as glycosidic bond. What is that bond called?
Glycosidic bond.
So 1,4 glycosidic bond. What is it called?
1,4
One.
glycosidic bond.
So how to write down? This way we write down 1,4 glycosidic bond. And when they combine together, all have noted 1,4 glycosidic bond or glycosidic linkage. It is also known as linkage. 1,4 glycosidic linkage. Noted?
Yes, ma'am.
So this is the bond form. Now when this bond formation takes place, one water molecule is released. One water molecule is released. Noted, everyone? Did you draw this diagram? So which disaccharide is it? What is the name of this
Sucrose.
disaccharide? Sucrose. Okay. This is the sucrose. Now try to see this one. So try to take up the structure from here, children. Sucrose you all have done. Now take up the lactose. So lactose is the disaccharide which is formed by the joining of one galactose and one glucose. So draw this structure. So both are having they are similar or different. How many both are 6-membered. Okay, here it was 5-membered ring. So galactose and glucose. And maltose is formed by which two monosaccharides?
Both glucose.
Both glucose. Okay. So this now I will send it, children. Disaccharides. You all have understood what is disaccharide? Yes or no?
Yes, ma'am.
So what are disaccharides? Ritu will tell me quickly. Ritu, tell me what are disaccharides? Ritu is there or not? Acha, Barbie will tell me now. Barbie, what are disaccharides?
They are the form of carbohydrates that are made up of joining the two monosaccharides, which may be similar or different.
Okay, very good. Then how they are joined? Which bond is formed between the two monosaccharides?
Glycosidic bond.
Glycosidic bond. So that glycosidic bond is formed between which carbon atoms?
First and fourth.
First carbon of the first monosaccharide and the fourth carbon of the adjacent or the other monosaccharide. Okay, so you call that as 1,4 glycosidic linkage. What we call it? So examples you have understood. What are the examples? Sucrose, lactose, and maltose. What are the 3 examples we have done? So in this we have discussed in the digestion also when we were discussing the digestive system. So sucrose, it was digested by the sucrase, lactose was digested by lactase, and maltose was digested by maltase. So that time we discussed that maltose is made up of two glucose. So this way they are joining together. And the lactose, when it breaks, it gives galactose and glucose. And the sucrose, when it breaks, it gives one glucose and one fructose. All have understood? Now I will take up the next one, that is the polysaccharide. So write down the next subheading, polysaccharide. So write down polysaccharides are the carbohydrates. Polysaccharides are the carbohydrates which are made up of more than two which are made up of more than two monosaccharides. More than two monosaccharides. Noted, everyone? What are polysaccharides now? Ritu, can you tell?
Ma'am, polysaccharides are made up of more than two monosaccharides.
More than two monosaccharides. Okay, so now try to see, everyone make this diagram, this chain which is having four monosaccharides. So this is amylose, which is a polysaccharide, that is starch. Commonly we call it as starch. So starch is a polysaccharide. Now I hope you would have understood that glucose is a monosaccharide, but your maltose is a disaccharide. And when such disaccharides, or when more than two monosaccharides join together, we get the polysaccharide, and starch is a polysaccharide. You can see here, you can draw the diagram of the starch. So draw these four monosaccharides. Can you all make it, children?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay, so draw it. I will be sending the notes, children, so that you all try to read it. But you'll be able to read it only after the exams, isn't it? The examples of polysaccharides are starch, then cellulose, then glycogen. These are the examples of the polysaccharides: starch, cellulose, glycogen. Noted? Drawn this structure, everyone?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay. So now tell me, what are the different types of the polysaccharides present in the living bodies? So remember, the stored form of the carbohydrate is the polysaccharide. Okay, so what are the different polysaccharides? Rumisha will name them.
Starch, cellulose,
Uh,
and glycogen.
Glycogen. So all the three you all have heard. Cellulose is present where? Where do you find cellulose?
In plants.
It is found in plants. Okay, and glycogen. Glycogen, where do we find?
In the liver cells.
Very good. So remember, the carbohydrate is stored in our body in which form?
Glycogen.
Glycogen form. Okay, and in the plant body, the carbohydrate is stored in which form?
Cellulose.
Starch.
Starch form. Very good. Okay,
Ma'am, in
starch form. That
plants.
in plants. Okay, the starch is the stored form of the carbohydrate. The cellulose is the structural component. Okay, cellulose forms the cell wall. Is it clear, Rumisha, now? So, Ritu, Neha, Raj, is it clear what we discussed today?
Yes, ma'am.
Yes, ma'am.
Yes,
Huh.
ma'am.
I will be sending some notes, children. Try to read it and then try to understand some structures also. Okay, the three carbon compound, the four carbon compound, the ketoses and aldoses, how the aldehyde, where the aldehyde is attached and where the ketone is attached. I'll be sending the figures. So you all draw that structure, then I will be explaining next time. Is it clear to everyone? And which bond formed, and the bond is formed between which carbon atom? So remember, whether it is a disaccharide or a polysaccharide, the monosaccharides will be joined by the formation of which bond?
Glycosidic bond.
1,4
Glycosidic
glycosidic
bond.
bond.
Okay, it is also known as glycosidic linkage. Is it very clear to everyone? So same way now you will study the proteins also, and you study the lipids also and the fats also. Okay, lipids or fats. So in all the cases you find the simple ones, the monomers will be there which will join together to form the polymer. So, or the macromolecule. Okay, so starch is a macromolecule. Glycogen, cellulose is a macromolecule. But when you see the monosaccharides, they are called micromolecules. Is it clear to everyone? So I have not told you the general formula of the disaccharide and polysaccharide. We'll be discussing next period. Okay, clear to you? Everyone has drawn that triosis, tetrosis, pentosis, heptosis structure you have made, or only the formula, isn't it? So structure I will be telling next period. Okay, formula, or everyone has written that C3H6O3. Okay, then C4H8 and O8. Okay, these are the chemical formula or the molecular formula. Done all of you all?
Yes, ma'am.
Yes, ma'am.
So next period I'll be starting with the proteins, and before that we'll revise a little bit